you just walked in. As well, I'm Mrs. Baker. I've been teaching French and English. I believe this is my 19th year. I don't know.
Your 19th trip?
No.
What?
No, not trip. I've lost count of how many trips, actually. I couldn't tell you. My first trip that I took students on was in 2006. I had traveled the world beforehand as a college student. And we started with this little tiny group of like 6 of us.
Special effects.
We went to France and Spain our first trip. And then now our biggest trip we've ever taken with students is 15, but we're looking to expand that.
We took only 13, but came back with 15, right?
You know.
What?
But anyway, one of my all-time favorite stories to tell, and this has to do with language as well. I don't know which trip it was on, but it was a friend and I, and we were standing in the metro station in Paris, and a Spanish couple who was traveling around Paris, visiting as well, came up to us, French speakers, and asked us in Spanish how to get to someplace in Paris. And we're like, I don't know Spanish, but we made it through, and we figured out where they had to go.
Were you really anxious when that happened?
I was.
Were you kind of like?
Gosh, they're speaking Spanish to us.
Were you kind of worried that maybe they were like bandits or something?
No, it was just some nice.
You know, it's always the ones, that. Yeah.
Another quick story that reminds me of bandits. But the wonderful people who come up to you and want to make little bracelets around you, and then make you pay for them. So those are all little tiny stories that we remember, and it's something that opens up our world, our eyes to what goes on in the rest of the world. I'm going to take it over to Ms. Gripsack. This is Angela Gripsack. She's also a teacher here.
If we could fold paper airplanes, we'd also add those into the special discussion.
Okay, so I'm Angela Gripsack, and this is my 25th year of teaching, and I have lots of experience with youth groups. My husband was a youth pastor at our church for many years, and so we've done lots of overnight trips. The rule of thumb seems to be keep them busy.
Oh, yeah.
Usually you keep, that's what we do with youth trips. We don't have a lot of downtime, and that's very similar to the philosophy with this trip. You're very busy morning, noon, and night pretty much. So that's some, and then this is my third trip. This will be my third trip. So I've been traveling with Mrs. Baker twice with EF Tours. The first one was London, Paris, and Barcelona, and then the second one was, let's see if I can remember, Rome, Paris,
yeah, we went to Rome.
Madrid. So we're really excited about this trip. Lots of things with our, I teach history also, I should mention that. So Western Civ, some of you got invitations. You were my Western Civ student last year. But I know we talked about so many things during the year that you would really enjoy actually getting to go see these places, and I promised you that you would be invited to go. So I was being a person of my word. So, okay, so with that, Adam, did you want to say anything more on an introduction? I know you have a lot of experience working with young people too, outside of classroom even.
Well, this will be my second trip with the two of them, and also this summer I'm taking a group of 17, 18 students to Puerto Rico. So kind of got that group building process in the works. And then on top of that, I've traveled, lots and lots of places. And like Miss Baker, I lived abroad and stuff. So, just through my experiences of traveling to all these different Spanish-speaking countries and other places, and also, working with youth groups. Like I was very active in Boy Scouts of America. Working on summer camp staffs and whatnot. So I know, what it means to build a team and to really kind of rally around some goals, not just going on a trip and walking around like a whole bunch of tourists behind a guide and not knowing what's going on. Though the thing about like these types of trips, and I really noticed it last time, was that the students become truly engaged and they're learning firsthand. It's not some passive thing where it's like, all right, well, we'll go to this stop and we're just like, we can take some pictures and we move on. No, it's like we really like get our hands dirty. Well, sometimes literally.
Yeah.
No, we learn about things like there, and we just become a part of history. We become, part of the culture and the language and stuff, and it's all, that's learning together. That's like what I would envision for the classroom every day. And since taking students on like the last trip, I've really sought to model different experiences in my classroom based on some of the experiences I was having with students in the world setting. So, and I know that the two of them feel the same way, that we're always sharing stories, or that we're always, trying to give the students the best experience, but we're going to do that with your students out there.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
so without further ado, we're going to, of course, the Alps. Provence is in southern France, and then Barcelona, Spain.
And it's 11 days.
11 days.
Okay, so things this meeting will cover, this is kind of like our table of contents, so you'll see this slide a few times so you kind of know as we're progressing through. First of all, why travel is important. So, well, you can tell already we're pretty passionate about traveling. It does help students develop a global perspective and become global citizens. And this tour is, we'll talk about why this tour is great. It's good to go on in a group situation. So.
Hey, Angela, were these responses from our last travelers?
Oh, yeah.
5 out of 5 stars. It's like that movie on Netflix,
Here's some quotes about travel that we thought spoke a lot to the way we felt about travel. So it says, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it so sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. That's one of our famous Missourians,
Yeah.
Mark Twain's. Another Mark Twain quote, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So I'll just, the bottom of it says explore, dream,
20 years from now,
discover.
when you're #adulting, then, when you're experiencing life in its fullest, or maybe lack thereof, you'll be thinking, I really wish I would have taken that Euro trip with my friends that talk about it at our class reunion, like that was the best experience of their high school times.
We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. And traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. I really like this one because I find myself telling stories from our trips throughout class all the time, and I kind of notice the energy in the room go up as students are they want to hear about what happened. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. Just got their own little.
It's really like, a library, and it's like, we're here.
It's better to see something once than to hear about it 1,000 times.
Totally agree.
And the last quote, I travel because life is short and the world is huge.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about our tour.
Okay, so again, back to the idea of the student expanding their understanding of the world. It says help students become global citizens, and I thought sometimes that kind of seems a little bit like a catchphrase, so I thought I just wanted to clarify global citizen. That's recognizing our world is increasingly complex, web of connections and interdependencies. So that's what that's all about. It brings subjects and destinations to life. So the language immersion, like they said, I'm the history teacher. So, but of course, going on these trips, it's everywhere. You see the language on the billboards, the vending machines, the restaurants, and the menus, and I start to learn the language, even though I have very limited understanding. And I know Mrs. Baker spent a month in France, and her language, that's how, she got, because I'm always like, Mrs. Baker, you sound so French, you've got all those accents so well. And it's like that, she attributes a lot of that to having lived there and been around the native speakers, and it really helped her with their language skills. So
One
that's
thing about Miss Scripsack that everybody ought to know before we go on this trip.
Please, not this.
I told her I was going to just drop some bombs, you know. No, but one thing that she likes to do, she likes to ask, you know, how do you say this? How do you say, I mean, just like our kids, you know, just like you guys in our classes. And then it's like, she'll ask, you know, how to say something, and it'll be something that to her seems so very basic. And then we say something really long, and then she'll say something long, we say something short, and she's like, well, that's interesting that it's that way and stuff. And then she uses it, you know. So, but she's a very inquisitive one to the world languages, and will help all of us.
Okay.
So beyond language, also, of course, history. We're going to see lots of places that we talked about last year, some things that we talked about this year in American history for a lot of the students that are taking American history either with me or one of the other social studies teachers. And I mean, even the sciences and engineering and seeing the architecture, I mean, it all just kind of comes together. So it's the ultimate field trip. And let's see, we've got developing perspectives that set students apart on college applications and give them a leg up in future careers. So just that, having traveled, having told about those, being able to have experienced that. And it sparks a lifelong ability to take on a new experience with confidence. Travelers have got to have that confidence and that little bit of adventure about you.
Okay. And so as you can see here, the front page is just very, I don't know, generalized, okay? Tells you kind of what the things that you get. And as you can see, we have a full-time tour director with us, 24/7. They are usually European and know several different languages, and they travel from destination to destination with us. Underneath that, we have sightseeing. You can see how many sightseeing tours that we take. It's usually one per city, one per major city. And then we have entrances. The cost that we're going to talk about later will include a lot of those ticket prices to get into different attractions. And then we've got other things here with the little icons. We have WeShare. We'll talk more about that later. And then hotels, flights, all that kind of stuff underneath that. But if you open it up, you'll see the map. We're so excited because we have not been to Switzerland yet, so we're very, very excited about that. We went to Italy last time, but we went to Rome. So we're heading to a new destination in Italy called, Cinque Terre. Hopefully nobody speaks Italian out there, because I probably butchered that. And then
It is Italy.
we're going to hit Monaco, which is a principality in between Italy and France. And then we are also going to hit the French Riviera in that we're going to go to Avignon, and we're going to then finally hit Barcelona. That's our end destination in Spain. So if you take a look on the next page, it kind of goes day by day. So we are going to take an overnight flight. We will leave Kansas City, don't know what time. Sometimes it's at 5 o'clock in the morning, so we have to leave Naumaster at 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It kind of just depends. We're kind of at the mercy of the airlines there. And then we'll probably hit a connecting flight somewhere in the United States, and possibly one more layover in Europe before we hit Zurich. Okay? So we'll have 3 to 4 flights perhaps, I don't know. Okay? But that last one will be overnight, and it'll seem like you have slept for only 2 hours because of the time change. But you'll be too excited anyway because nobody ever sleeps on a plane ride over. Okay? Then we arrive in Zurich, and then we are actually going to go right to Lucerne. Okay? And so Lucerne, this is what I'm so excited about because it is awesome and it's pretty. So here we have one of the main downtown areas of Lucerne. And it is right on a lake called Lake Como.
And then we also have a mountain, a giant mountain, okay? And it's Pilatus, right? Pilatus. And you get to take one of these gondolas up to the top. So we have Lucerne, and we'll spend a couple of days there. Then we're going to head over to Italy. Okay? And so with Italy, we're going to go to Italy. And we are actually, it says travel via Lake Como. So we're going to take a boat, okay, over to Italy. And this is one of the most picturesque towns I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. It's got all the different colored buildings. It looks like it's about to fall off the cliff, but I don't think it will yet. And then it has beaches, and I thought this picture was really cool because it's got the harbor there on the inside. So, awesome little village there to go to in Italy. Then we are going to head to Monaco. This is a picture on the top there of the Princess Palace. That's inside. That's the throne room
Are we gonna meet him?
in Monaco. Oh, I hope so.
We're actually thinking about doing some type of scavenger hunt for this one, like,
Ooh,
and if I would,
picture of them.
yeah, if I were to think of like, you know, one to do on the last one, it would have been like to get a selfie with the Pope or something.
But this is kind of a layover trip between Italy and our end destination in France. So we'll hit Monaco. A quick fact about Monaco. Anybody know Grace Kelly? Nobody knows Grace Kelly in here, parents? Okay, Grace Kelly. She actually became Princess of Monaco when she married the prince there. Okay. Anyways, we are going to then head to France and Nice. I don't have a picture of Nice up here, but Nice is kind of like Southern California. It is a resort town. It's pronounced Nice, not nice.
But
Okay?
it is nice.
But it is nice, definitely. And then we're going to head to Avignon. Avignon is known for its Roman ruins. So we have the Pont du Gard right here. You've probably seen that in pictures from, I know, even commercials have used that before. And then we're also going to visit the Papal Palace. Papal Palace, it was a pope that used to reside there. At one time there used to be 2 popes. So this was the French pope. Okay? So we're going to visit that too. Then we are going to arrive in Barcelona. Okay?
All right, yeah, Barcelona. It's the we're going to talk to the people there that live in Barcelona, and the thing is, they would tell you that they're actually not Spaniards.
That's right.
They would say that they are Catalonians because it's a part of the province or the state of Catalonia. It's actually the capital of that area, and they actually speak a language other than Spanish whenever they're in their homes. They speak Catalan, but Spanish is spoken there too. So there's a lot that we're going to do there. Everything from visiting the national stadium that they would consider their national stadium, not the national stadium of Spain, but for Barça. And also we'll be going to La Sagrada Familia, which is one of the most ornate churches in the world. A very ornate cathedral that was constructed over hundreds of years.
Oh, it's not done yet.
And it's not completely through yet, but an awesome place. And
It's Parkwell. I don't know how to pronounce it in Spanish.
G-U-E-L-L.
G-U-E-L-l. Parkwell? Parkwell, something like that. But I'm doing it with an Italian accent. But it's all mosaics. And so we get to go in and we get to see and travel around. It was supposed to be this utopian little town or suburb of Barcelona when it was first started. But it did not come to fruition. So now it's a park that you can go and visit and walk around, and it's pretty awesome. So, okay?
And we're going to spend some time on the beach too. Yes.
Okay. All right, so after we get done with Barcelona, we're gonna travel home. And you know when it's been a good trip, when your student or your child will sleep for 3 days, right? Because basically we get up usually between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning, eat breakfast, we leave the hotel by 9 at the latest, and we don't usually get back to the hotel in anywhere between 10 and 11 at night. So we're out all day doing stuff, seeing things, because we're only in those places 1 or 2 days at tops. All right, so we're gonna move on. We have our travel partner. I'm talking about this.
I think so.
Or I will pass. EF Tours, it's one of the most well-developed international trip experience companies for youth, and so it has 50 years of experience. It's present here in the United States and around the world, and they really have experience in being able to package things with everything from museums to hotels to airlines and whatnot to make it really have a competitive edge on the market. It does have educational value in that it is an accredited institution, just like our high school. And well, with this trip, you actually have the possibility, the opportunity to earn high school credit, as well as college credit if you so desire. We are working on lining up a couple different endeavors with EF Tours and here within our school district in and of itself, just to ensure that you get out of it exactly what you want. And we know that with this world experience, with what EF is doing, that you would definitely have those experiences to make for a good thing to add on to your learning resume.
Every single time I've traveled with students, it's been through EF, and honestly, it has gotten better and better and better each time that we have gone. The food has gotten better, the hotels have gotten better. They really do listen to what the teachers suggest. And so that's why I keep staying with them.
It's an organization that works around the clock
Yeah.
for us. I mean, if we are in Spain, and heaven forbid that something happened in a family or something, and that need to be communicated, and you couldn't get a hold of us because of phone connection issues, you could definitely get a hold of the EF folks, and they would have that word to things to us in a jiffy. And so they really are watching out for us the entire time and making sure we have the best experience.
I was gonna mention the one, when we were in Paris on our first trip, they had a strike on the train. So we were all loaded up with our luggage, we were ready to go and get on the train, and then we ended up, waiting at the train station because their trains weren't going. So EF our tour director communicated with them, and they put us up in a beautiful hotel, where we could see the Eiffel Tower then flashing at night, because the kids hadn't really got to see it at night. And it was wonderful food, wonderful comfortable beds, and it was just like, because we were tired, we thought we were getting on this night train, we're gonna sleep as we were traveling. But it was just so nice to have them behind the scenes taking care of those little things that happen like that.
This slide is just to show you where EF is located throughout the world. They have offices everywhere, so like what Mr. Morton was talking about, they are really with us 24/7 a day.
365, because we still get emails from them. I mean, in the middle of the winter,
Just checking up on us, seeing how things are going with every aspect of the tour. This is something that we kind of already talked about. The 24/7 tour director, chaperones. So we're always looking for more chaperones. Of course, us three, we are going. And we are with the children, as well on the tour the whole entire time. And then Adam as well, Mr. Morton already talked about this one as well. So the 24-hour emergency on-call service. So if anything ever happens, there's always a way to get a hold of students. And then the peace of mind policy. This is something very, very important, especially in this day and age. They have a policy to where if there's a major catastrophe, whether it's weather, whether it's
human catastrophes, that they will move us. At one point, they were having some political strife on one of our trips in Spain, and so they kept an eye on it, and they decided not to move us because it calmed down, but they were right there and they're ready to move us to another destination while we were on tour. If anything happens before our tour, they will kind of finagle the itinerary so that we can still go, but be in safer places. So they are definitely on the ball with that.
How many adults here are perhaps hoping to serve as chaperones? Okay, we need, awesome, great, we're gonna have a great time together.
All right.
All right, so group travel, really simply put, we are not alone most likely in traveling with the tour director. It's likely that there's going to be 2 or perhaps 3 other schools depending on the size of the group we have. And they do that because it helps them with their buying power. It just drives the cost lower because of the volume of whatnot. And so it actually leads to awesome experiences for our students as well, because I saw so many friendships kindle on the last trip between students from the different schools. You know, our kids were talking Spanish with other kids and really showing them up. And it was so fun. Like kids who just finished Spanish 1, you know, yeah, really talking really well with these Spanish 3 students from another school. So you really develop some good friendships that stay in touch. So you see down here below with the whole group travel and whatnot, we don't know quite yet when our departure date will be for this trip. That being said, we can tell you that it is going to be at some point in time between the 1st and the 9th of June, so right after school gets out. It's going to be a great way to start off the summer break. With a little bit more learning and relaxation at times, not too much though. But once we get within 3 months of the departure date, we'll know exactly when that is, and we'll be communicating that to you and to the students.
What is included? The big question.
Okay, so what you're responsible for, spending money, of course, for additional tour experiences, and then sometimes we'll have some free time when we're in a city or we're going just to kind of check out the shops, souvenir shops and things like that. So you'll want to have a little bit of money available. Also your lunches, a lot of times we're out, I think that's yours. A lot of times we are out and about, so lunch is, students buy their own lunch, and there's usually a lot of variety, and it's just depending on what you want to try. I mean, some students want to go to McDonald's in these countries, and I usually want to go to McDonald's too, because it's fun to compare it with our McDonald's, because they sell stuff that's totally different. I mean, you can get a Big Mac, but they also have fancy French coffee and fancy pastries and things like that at the Paris.
You can get waffle fries there too, and a yogurt treat.
Yeah, all these things for that the local people
Or
like.
crab sandwiches.
They
Oh,
try
that's
to
right.
accommodate
They had
that.
crab sandwiches in Italy.
Yep. So anyway, so that is one thing, having some spending money, some tips. So the tour director and the bus driver. So we will have lots of those motor coach buses. They have. Of course, you've got the driver, and then we've got the person who is telling us all as we go through the city, and we always appreciate those because it kind of saves our feet. So we're driving all over the city, and they're telling us all the history about all the things that we're seeing. So we and actually this probably be a good time to interject. We do lots of fundraising. We've already been at it actually this year with Crepe Week last week, and tomorrow night Friday night we're selling crepes at the play, and so we do stuff, and we're eager to
To
get
that
some
end,
kids.
just before we get to talking about the little bit of fundraising that we can talk about tonight, for anyone who's going to be enrolling within the next couple days, please come and support in the fundraising efforts this Friday at KNE.
Oh,
No, middle
It's not-
school?
It's here at the play.
it's the play.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
December
that's
9th,
fine. I
we're
was
going to be
thinking,
at the
okay.
middle school.
So lots of opportunities for
So
you.
we'll do stuff And maybe some of you chaperones have some experience with fundraising, so we're always looking for good ideas. We've had completely dud fundraisers that we didn't make very much money at, and then we've had some that we were so pleasantly surprised that they really went well. So we, as much as we can, try to raise that tip money. And then also some of the, like last time, everybody got an envelope and with some spending money from whenever because we had worked many months of raising money. So it just kind of made it a little easier on the family. And also the optional, if we do the extra things, which we haven't really talked very much about, optional excursions, they usually, a lot of times they'll have something extra we can do while we're nearby. A lot of times it's like out of the city, or it might be like an extra bus trip, so there's a little extra expense if we want to do that. And so we've raised that money in our fundraising efforts, because the community really does want to help the kids have these experiences, and so we've just been super blessed with lots of help. So we figured if you guys are willing to work, we'll get a benefit from that. Also, if you want any, now we've flown Delta the last 2 times, and so you get a
Good news,
bag.
Delta may not exist by then.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you get a check bag, and then you can have your carry-on, but if you want extra, but I highly recommend that you don't,
No.
because you gotta haul all this stuff around, and so it's a lot. So if you just have the bag, you probably won't have any extra baggage fees unless you're bringing a whole bunch of stuff. Try not to. And then, of course, if you don't already have a passport, there's a little expense getting your passport. So that's some of the things that you're responsible for. But that's not very much, really, if you think about it, especially since we're talking some of this with fundraising here. Of course, this is already.
We raised so much in surplus last time, and as Angela was saying, to be able to give out money to the students that they had raised. And some students didn't have any additional spending money beyond that, really.
Right, that was their.
And they got along just great. So I mean, it's really kind of up to the parents and the students to kind of come up with a decision on what that would be. But it could be quite feasibly so that we raise spending money, in our fundraising efforts. Yeah.
Do any of these countries require a visa, or are they all just with a passport?
Just passport.
Just passport.
Yeah.
And then, are you keeping the same tour bus throughout?
No.
Most of the time it will change per city.
So for instance, when you go to a city, does that luggage get to stay on that bus while you're there?
It would go into the hotel room with them, and then we would load up on a new bus to go to a new city.
Okay, so are they actually dragging suitcases through while they're touring a city or doing anything
No,
like that?
it's
either
on the bus, it's with
or in the
you,
hotel.
or it's back at the hotel. You appreciate the days when we stay in a city for a couple days and you can leave your stuff back at the hotel. But it's either with us in the bus, and these buses are nice buses. They're comfy, they're all air controlled and very comfortable, so. Okay, the next one. Okay, so
Yeah,
we kind of mentioned this already.
We'll talk about this as we get closer.
Yeah, and
because,
usually we have
you know.
we invite the lady from the post office. She always comes and talks to our kids about getting a passport, and so if you haven't gotten that yet, they'll bring the forms in.
No worries, we got plenty of time, with 2 years being out almost,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so everything you get. Okay, so round trip flight on major carriers. So this is, I just out of curiosity, a few nights ago, just wanted to see how much is it to fly to Switzerland. It was like $1,700 or $1,800. All the tickets that I could find were $1,700 to $1,800. So that's kind of expensive. And then the comfortable motor coach. This tour, we've got quite a bit of. We actually get to see the countryside quite a bit. Sometimes they'll have like a night train. So you go to sleep on the train and then you wake up and you're in a new destination. But a lot of it we get to actually see the countryside as we're on these buses. So, but they, like I said, that's a great value. They have a nice.
How many of you,
bus
this
for
be
us.
your first time flying? Awesome. Yes.
Yeah,
Or first time riding
over the
a bus
ocean.
other than a school bus, like a,
Tour bus?
yeah, awesome. Great. Sorry.
Hotels with private bathrooms.
It sounds kind of silly to have a private bathroom, but some hotel rooms in Europe don't have private bathrooms, so that's a plus.
Yeah, you don't have to like go to the bathroom next to some 85-year-old lady
Yeah.
down the hall.
Breakfast and dinner daily, this is one of my favorite parts. It's not like our breakfast with just the continental breakfast that we have here. It's a really nice breakfast, usually with meat and cheese.
Get you
and
good
they
carbs for all the walking.
lots of carbs, they
All-
do,
all
they
the
love
steps
bread.
you'll get in.
And,
Bring your Fitbit.
and the dinners are very authentic to that city. So like, something that they would, they would make in that city. Like when we were in London, we had fish and chips, and of course we had pizza when we were in Italy. So when we're in Italy, I don't know, it'll be pasta or pizza probably, something like that.
Pasta
So they-
and pizza.
that sounds good. So they try to make it very, the whole experience, hopefully you'll take on the mindset that you want to try everything, and you'll be willing to sample all this new cuisine. And then, of course, we already mentioned the full-time bilingual tour director. Our last tour director spoke like 4 or 5 languages. He was.
And then I was in the same room as him, and he was like telling me about how he knew some Japanese and Chinese, and I'm like, man, these people really know what they're doing with the up tours.
And they're very experienced travelers, so like they will get the bus as close as they can, so we don't have to walk to it. Even though you do want comfortable shoes, and you do want to be up for, it is a lot of exercise. It's a physically very tiring day, because you're just so many experiences. But they're the best. The sightseeing led by licensed guides. These guides are perfect for our kids. They're funny. It's very educational. They'll answer their questions.
They have to get like credentials from the European Union to be able to be tour guides. We're not just, being led by some 12-year-old kid that lives there. No, but that happens so many places around the world where you might have some 12-year-old kid just trying to make money for his family and would lead you around. I've encountered that quite a bit, actually. The thing is, here, we are in good hands. Entrance fees to select attractions, like different museums we might go to, we will get in line, sometimes even in a priority location, so we don't have to wait as long. Secondly, I feel like I'm in Disney World, just walking around everywhere. No, also, with regard to those entrance fees, this is where I know EF Tours has major buying power, because going into the Louvre is pretty expensive, like $30 or $40 something if you're going by yourself. But with our group, I don't even know what it was, but it was just part of it, and it's just was such a small fraction.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we talked a little bit about WeShare, that perhaps that online tool for learning with the dual credit high school elective coursework next summer. That comes as a part of what you're paying for. An educational itinerary to follow as we're going. I think that's kind of new. It was just all the stuff we're doing educationally. And then a tour donation page. How many of you are familiar with
GoFundMe?
Yeah, GoFundMe? I've used it.
Thank you.
Okay, so EF Tours, Sophia always. EF Tours has developed a GoFundMe type of page that actually all of the gifts that are given to your cause to go to Europe are paid directly, to your family's account in EF Tours. So, EF Tours isn't going to, take money from the gifts to power the tool like GoFundMe does. If you donate $100 to GoFundMe, I think it's like $2 of it goes to overhead. So none of that type of thing happens with this page. And I think we actually talk about that here coming up. Oh no, but we do have that function. So if you have grandparents, you've got aunts and uncles that are looking to really invest in you and your learning experience, to give you something that you can really use as opposed to something that is just going to collect dust after Christmas, just a couple weeks. Having them support this cause through the gift giving page is going to be huge. And I talked to EF Tours about this, and they have experienced magnificent results from this. A lot of families, they're apprehensive at first about about asking others for money, but they have seen that a lot more families are turning to this, and actually quite a bit of the payments come from money raised through the gifts. So if you got your Christmas card list out handy whenever you get home, you could, get going on this even tonight, if you were to enroll tonight, and sending emails with links to that page, as well as to, the tour in general, so that anybody, wanting to know, whether, what or not Bob is doing on the trip. Bob, we don't have any Bobs. I don't know, it's just what came to mind. Roberto. What they're doing on this trip, that they would have links to educational videos and stuff to be able to see that.
And I was gonna to mention also, some of you probably, when my daughter wanted to go on the tour, I was like, she wanted to go so bad, and she's begging, and I was like, okay, at least we'll pay half, you're gonna have to raise the other half. And so if you were in a situation where you actually had to do some work, Mr. Morton and I were talking about how great if you had someone who you were like, I'll take care of your yard, and so then they would pay you through this, so they would know that that's where the money was going for. And sometimes they're a little more generous,
Right.
if they know you're wanting to do something really.
For instance, okay, with me with the Puerto Rico trip, I needed my dog looked after for the weekend, just somebody to come in and just feed him and stuff. And so I had a student do that, who's going on the Puerto Rico trip. So the thing is, something you can do.
A tool to make to start generating some money, especially if you have to earn some of it on your own. So, okay.
All right, so if you guys take a look, I'm sure you guys have already been looking. We have how the price has been broken down, an itemized sort of price list there. The first thing, as you can see, is the program price. That is $35.25. But it includes all the things that we've been talking about. So it includes your airfare, it includes all of your hotels, it includes 2 meals a day, it includes that tour director, it includes just about everything. After that, we're not for sure if this is going to happen or not. This $35. Oops, I touched the screen. So $35. That I touched it again.
It's touchy.
But that is an airline thing.
Look what you said.
I didn't do anything. It's an airline thing. So if we happen to travel on a weekend, there is a $35 supplement if you travel on the airlines on a weekend.
But usually we travel on Thursday.
Yeah, we try
This is the best day to travel in the
we
term.
try to look at the calendar, but sometimes it just ends up being that way. There is an optional add-on if you would like to get travel insurance. They call it the Global Travel Protection. I highly recommend it. So if your luggage gets lost, they will give you a flat rate. They will hand you cash to go get clothes for yourself. Shopping. And knock on wood, we've only had our luggage lost once. So.
Did you get it back though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
see?
we got it back.
You have tours follows through.
Well, it happened that like 2 of our girls got their luggage and the rest of us didn't for some reason. So we're all like going through their luggage. Hey, have you got a hairdryer we can borrow? So anyway, we make do. We make do. The next thing is the peace of mind. They say, oh yes, that's free. Of course, that's what I was talking about. If there's any kind of calamity anywhere, that they will move us. And then they added all of this up to $37.15. We are so far out, we are just about 18 months out. So that would be, if you broke it down on a monthly payment plan, that's $202 a month. But think about it this way. How much do you pay for your Starbucks coffee every day, or the coffee kids in here each day? That's
But
what,
you could
$2
do
or
every
$3,
now and then, just
right?
just to say you're still
It's
supporting them.
really $7 a day. Okay, so if you cut out the McDonald's, if you cut out the extra coffees, there's your trip. It really is.
Even Common Core math will get you there.
Exactly. Anyway, adults, if you are interested in going, you are interested in being a chaperone, there is an adult supplement. It is an extra $395. The reason being is because adults stay with 2 people per hotel room. The kids usually stay 3 or 4 per hotel room. And also, it is more expensive for the adults to get into the museums, into some of the other attractions as well. So that is supplementing that, okay? And of course, they break it down for you there too. Are there any questions?
Well, and then there is a.
Yeah, we got just
Oh.
a little bit about payment options.
I was
Okay.
gonna.
Okay. Oh,
I was just gonna say, this is what we did when my daughter Lisa went. And so it was just, we kind of got into the hat, we just revamped our budget a little bit, and we had it where that payment would come out, and so it made it where it wasn't a burden.
Yes.
Okay, so that was, I mean, I really like that option.
so if you have the means to pay in full in this moment, we've never had anybody do it in all the history of all of our travels. That'd be cool. I mean, no fundraiser? No, we'd still want you to do that. But this is certainly an option. Option 2, which is the most commonly exercised option, is taking that $202 from your account every month between now and 1 month before the tour. And so the sooner you enroll, the lesser the monthly payments are, if that makes sense. And then the manual payment option, there's actually a $50 fee to set it up. So there is that cost added to the program price you see listed. Now, you'll see that you can, kind of make whatever payments you want, but within 30 days of the trip, you have to have paid for $500 at least of the program just to secure your spot and to let EF know that, hey, yeah, you are interested in truly traveling with us. And that final payment deadline is due 110 days before your tour, as opposed to this being taken out in just 1 month. So if you're thinking this option, it would actually make things a little less burdensome. Perhaps then you might feel really pressed, right there at that 115-day window when you're like, oh gosh, the money's due in 5 days. Whereas here it's, taking it off bit by bit. And this is free. So, and that's the one that I'd say 80-something% of students do. Okay? Does that kind of cover your question?
That was the question I was going to ask now.
All right.
I would recommend that people check with their insurance company before they travel outside the country, because sometimes your insurance does not travel out there outside the insurance. And I don't know if your global travel protection covers a medical plan in it, but I know you can get a out of the country travel insurance really
Probably for a
cheap.
pretty low policy.
Emmett and I just came back from a trip, and it was $75 for $1 million policy, and it was good for the time. So,
And you made it back.
and it was just for 2 of us. Yeah, that's another story. But I mean, it was even enough that it would fly you home in a plane if you had to. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to do it, to check that, because a lot of people don't think about that when they're
Right,
traveling.
exactly.
Okay, so yeah, and we're gonna have different meetings as a group so that we can develop the community and to address things like that. So it's not like we're just gonna be like, okay, go sign up, and then we'll meet here at the school in a couple of years. No, we are really looking forward to this kind of becoming an organization that's really gets to know one another, wants to spend time together. Because we're going to be spending a lot of time together overseas, and it's better if we're already friends, So a lot of us may not necessarily know one another really well. I mean, it's a small school, and we've seen, but there's some here that I have not had in class, but I recognize or whatever, and really look forward to, developing an association with. And I know that we all feel the same way. So really, that's the priceless part of going on this trip that other organizations, don't necessarily have. Okay, this is the tour donation page that I was referencing earlier. Much like GoFundMe again, and EF Tours, informed me that again they have so much of students' travel fees that are paid for through different families, doing like a letter writing campaign. This is kind of like that, in that sense letter, but you could certainly add on to that, give a QR code on a Christmas card or something, but you send this, but you're like, hey, just take a few minutes, even if you can just do $5 or $20, every little bit helps, as we know, and we'd really much rather get people to support us and give us those good kudos for the trip, rather than like forcing people to buy things from us that they don't really need. And you know how it is, parents, you end up typically like having to buy your son or daughter's stuff for fundraising stuff anyway. So we're trying to avoid that as much as possible and to really build a community around our trip beyond just those who are traveling. So that's
And
kind
I
of
don't
what's
really
going on.
know if we've mentioned that we usually do have like at least every other month a meeting where we get together, where we practice counting the money and talk about security measures, and like I was referencing the passport, we'll have somebody from the post office. So we do
And
have a
with
lot of
the
building
high school,
towards-
the dual credit option, there might be some stuff required for that. In addition, like it might be some type of course that you're doing stuff during the school year next year outside of class. We don't really know what that looks like yet, but plans are in place for that to be instituted. So there's some outside of class time, yes.
The core donation page, how does that work with whether you do the automatic payment or?
Okay,
or
so-
how does that work with the payment?
Okay,
Or paying total?
I believe, and I mean, EF Tours, they offer wonderful support in their customer service program. And so they could for sure answer that question. But the way it seems to me through students that are doing this for Puerto Rico is that, so let's say that Auntie M, donates $200 to the efforts. Well, $2 is going to just be taken from your account maybe. But you could probably work out something with EF
But I
Tours to
think
be able
it's
to
at
be
the
like, hey,
end.
go ahead and take
I
out the
think it's at
200.
the end, so like
Yeah.
you probably would go ahead and even make a payment that month, and it would keep going,
Yeah.
but then when it gets to the end, you wouldn't have to make the last.
But talk to EF Tours.
However, it kind of starts coming back.
That makes sense.
Okay, so we are wanting to know who is in for the long haul. And so, as you can see here, yeah, we're in, obviously. We have, at this point in time, with EF Tours, 20 spots available for this trip. And as you can see, we have quite a few here, and there were even more students that were interested in coming this evening that could not make it. So that ends this number, and we don't know whether or not it's going to go up from EF Tours. It kind of depends on where other schools are at with this. The thing is, we're starting out nice and early, so there is less pressure. The thing is, those 20 spots we do have guaranteed from EF Tours. So we strongly need your consideration over the next couple of months, for sure. Quick question.
The 20 spots, students only or including chaperones?
That includes chaperones.
That's total, yeah.
Okay, so there is a little bit of urgency there in that regard.
2 questions. Is there an emergency out? This is 18 months out or whatever. Your child gets sick, your child breaks their leg, some family member, you have some
Yes, and
things.
that with the insurance, there are certainly options that protect your.
The-
There is a
There's a
protection
non-refundable, like the $95 is non-refundable, so even if you have an emergency. But we've had that
Right.
before, where a student was now Noster, his family got transferred to another base, and then he changed his mind, he didn't want to go, so.
Yeah, but
they
we've
did-
also, with that type of situation though, we've had families
where they
with
come back.
orders, to go somewhere else, and then the student goes ahead and comes back and reunites with friends, in a different place. So,
There is a cancellation policy as well. That is in the enrollment booklet. And I don't remember the exact number of days, but there's a day, 2-trip sort of equal.
there are a couple of plans, I think, in there that it's like, if something happens like 5 minutes before you're walking out the door to the airport, that
Then, yeah.
everything is fine. No,
Well,
There's
oh,
one, there
the-
is one that does do that, so.
That's the peace of
Yeah,
mind.
the travel
Yeah.
insurance.
So certainly look at that, and EF Tours again with their customer service program. They're not available 24/7, but their number I know is in there and it's on their website, and they have always been great to work with.
It's on page 11 in the booklet. The cancellation policy is on
Okay.
page
Oh,
11.
yes.
See that now. And then how does your fundraising that you do as a school, what is happening with that money?
Well, first of all, it's gonna go towards tip money. So we're
Okay.
gonna require $75 from each student for tips. And that's pretty much for our 24/7 chaperone that goes with us, our tour director, that goes with us. It's also for our bus drivers. So we're gonna require that. And always in years past, we've been able to do that with fundraising. If that isn't the case, then we would need that as well.
Is that in addition to this $10 per day tip? that
No,
you
no,
wanted?
that is
Oh,
that.
that is that.
That is
Okay.
that. And then,
Other fundraising, what we would do is, one thing is there are a lot of optional tours on here that are possibilities. So once we hit that amount of money for tips, then we'll start working for some extra excursions, and those are listed on the itinerary in blue. What we will do is, we will probably pick two, one teacher choice, I think is what we decided, and then one kid choice. So when we start meeting as a group, we will discuss those, and we'll talk about which ones we want to work towards. After that, if you have additional funds that you've done through fundraising, then you'll have two options. You can either choose to have it as spending money on the trip, or we can send a check to EF Tours and have it be applied to your balance.
Cause I know in Europe, like, you have to tip to go to the bathroom and different things.
Depending
Yes.
on where you are, yeah.
A
Yes.
lot of them did, and so obviously students will need money for that.
Yeah, we don't pay for tips to go to the bathroom, I'm sorry.
But I mean,
It's
people may
usually
not
just
be
a
aware
euro.
that, yes, you have to.
If you were in an emergency, if you were in a bind, we would have your back though, and we would
Yeah,
give you a euro.
exactly.
Sorry,
but
can't go to the bathroom.
It's mainly for the bus drivers
And
and
it's
for
like
the
a
tour
dollar or
operators.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know, it's a euro to go use
That's,
the bathroom.
Yeah.
that flush of water.
Yeah, so you have to
Every
pay
time
for
you
that.
Yeah. And that's what part of the spending money is, and that daily amount that you would have for yourself. Okay.
$200 discount, does that count towards chaperones as well?
Oh, we didn't
Yes.
talk about that. Yes,
I
a
kept trying to point.
$200 discount. Up here, this nice
Thank
big
you.
red disco ball. Okay, I don't know. Red disco balls could be red. $200 discount until the end of the month. So you have some time to make a decision.